Carolyn, what are the real pleasures of your profession?
Well, there are...
You ever stop to count them?
Oh, there's so many. We have several Thanksgiving days in show business. We thank...
Carolyn Jones, the actress best known for her iconic role as Morticia Addams on The Addams Family, captured audiences with her eerie charm and dark elegance. Known as Hollywood's Macabre icon, Jones brought a unique presence to every role. But behind her captivating performances, Carolyn's life was filled with strange and unsettling details that few fans know about. Join us as we delve into the skin-crawling facts surrounding her life, the haunting experiences that shaped her career, and the secrets of Hollywood's beloved Queen of the Dark. A troubled childhood. From the moment Carolyn Jones was born, it seemed that she possessed a certain brightness, a captivating energy that made her stand out. However, her early years were marked by hardship that threatened to dim that light before it could fully shine. Growing up in Amarillo, Texas, Carolyn was no stranger to struggle. Her father, a barber, was the family's primary breadwinner. Yet financial stability always seemed just out of reach. Despite these difficulties, young Carolyn had a lively spirit and entertained her family with her vivid storytelling, bringing much-needed joy to her otherwise troubled home. Unfortunately, the onset of the Great Depression would devastate the fragile stability her family had managed to maintain. Economic hardship deepened the cracks already present in her parents' relationship, leading to a tense and fraught household atmosphere. As their financial woes got worse, the love and laughter in the Jones household was replaced by arguments and tension. Carolyn, perceptive even as a young child, could sense the growing rift between her parents. In those early years, Carolyn's relationship with her father became strained as well. She keenly observed his anger and felt the emotional distance growing between them. Then, in 1934, a life-altering event occurred. Her father, weighed down by the pressures and challenges of life, decided to abandon the family. Carolyn, only a young girl, was left grappling with feelings of loss and betrayal. Her father, the person she looked up to for safety and support, simply walked away, leaving Carolyn, her sister, and her mother to fend for themselves. The realization that her father was gone, likely forever, was an emotional blow that scarred Carolyn deeply and introduced her to a lifetime of abandonment issues and insecurity. The transformation for success. When Carolyn Jones first arrived in Hollywood in the 1950s, she was quickly faced with a harsh truth. In a town where appearances often mattered as much, if not more, than talent, her acting skills and innate charm were simply not enough to propel her into stardom. It didn't take long for Carolyn to understand that if she genuinely wanted to make a name for herself in the cutthroat world of Hollywood, she would have to fit herself into the industry's unforgiving mold. Determined to succeed no matter the cost, Carolyn was driven by a desire that went beyond simple ambition. She was willing to endure nearly any hardship to achieve her dreams. She took the bold, albeit painful, step of undergoing cosmetic surgery, believing that a refined appearance would give her an edge. Despite the expense and discomfort, she didn't hesitate to go under the knife, focusing on reshaping her nose to achieve the sharp, elegant look that Hollywood casting agents demanded at the time. After the procedure, Carolyn emerged looking transformed, a bit like a new person, with her nose now sleekly defined and her overall appearance distinctly Hollywood. Her transformation didn't end there. Carolyn also dyed her naturally dark hair to a more striking color and worked hard to erase her Texas accent, which she felt was holding her back from broader roles. She invested hours into perfecting her posture, projecting the poised and polished demeanor expected of a leading lady. In her mind, these efforts were necessary stepping stones to attaining the career she envisioned. And indeed, her efforts seemed to pay off almost immediately. Once she had undergone these changes, her career began to gain momentum. But Carolyn soon discovered that Hollywood's path to success was far from smooth. Though her physical transformation briefly boosted her trajectory, it couldn't shield her from the relentless instability of the industry. The glamour quickly gave way to the reality of unpredictable roles, personal sacrifices, and the physical and emotional tolls of fame. Her journey would be marked by surprising career setbacks, health struggles that plagued her throughout her life, and controversies that loomed in the background. The life of Carolyn Jones would become a complex story of resilience and vulnerability, a tale that, when fully revealed, would shock and captivate fans who only saw her glamorous on-screen persona. Living in fear and the desire to escape. Sadly, Carolyn's hardships didn't end with her father's departure. Left with little financial support, her mother struggled to provide for her two daughters. In desperation, she made the difficult decision to move back in with her own parents, hoping their support would help stabilize her and her children's lives. Initially, moving in with Carolyn's grandparents seemed to be the safest option, a place where they could regroup and start anew. But the reality of living under her grandparents' roof brought a fresh set of challenges and heartache that Carolyn had never anticipated. Adjusting to life with her grandparents was difficult at first. Though they offered her a place to stay and continued her schooling, their home quickly proved to be far from the refuge Carolyn had hoped it would be. Her grandfather had a volatile temper, a side of him she had not fully seen before. Soon she found herself at the mercy of his anger, enduring frightening outbursts that made her childhood feel even more precarious. His yelling often left her feeling small and helpless, exacerbating the wounds left by her father's abandonment. To make matters worse, Carolyn felt trapped in her grandparents' home, unable to act out or speak up about her feelings for fear that she and her mother might be forced out with nowhere to go. With her mother unable to provide for them on her own, Carolyn resigned herself to tolerate her grandfather's behavior, feeling that there was no other option. This sense of entrapment hung over her, casting a shadow over her teenage years and filling her with a quiet desperation for freedom and independence. As she grew older, Carolyn became increasingly absorbed in dreams of escape. She immersed herself in Hollywood magazines and movie publications, fantasizing about the glamorous lives of movie stars and imagining a life far removed from the turbulence of her own. In these moments, she felt a glimmer of hope, a belief that someday she might leave behind the fear and poverty of her early life to step into a world of opportunity, where her dreams of becoming an actress could finally come true. Hollywood became more than just a distant land of movie magic. For Carolyn, it represented an escape from the pain and hardship that had dominated her life for as long as she could remember, overcoming illness and pursuing her dreams. Just when Carolyn began to believe that life might finally offer her a chance for something better, an unexpected and severe illness struck her, binding her to her challenging reality once more. With her health in a precarious state, she couldn't simply flee from her troubles or find solace in a new environment. Instead, she found herself confined to her bed, forced to face her condition head-on in a battle for her life. Trapped within the four walls of her room, Carolyn clung to hope, praying with all her heart that death would not claim her just yet. She had aspirations she desperately wanted to fulfill. There was still so much left undone, and she wasn't prepared to let her dreams slip away. Few people know this hidden chapter of the actress's life, a period when she was bedridden for an agonizingly long stretch. While the world carried on outside, Carolyn lay in isolation, fighting a deeply personal battle that seemed to consume her every breath. Diagnosed with severe asthma, Carolyn's body struggled under the strain of the illness, and each day felt like a challenge to merely stay alive. Breathing difficulties left her feeling as though the very essence of life was being slowly drained from her. To survive, she had to stay indoors, cloistered from the outside world, and each passing day tested her mental and physical resilience. This dark period was especially painful for her, because the activities she had cherished, like visiting the movies and experiencing the world beyond her room, were all suddenly out of reach. Feeling weak and emotionally drained, she found comfort in listening to her favorite songs, allowing herself to dream of a life after illness, a life where she could truly embrace her ambitions. Finally, when she recovered and stepped back out into the world, Carolyn felt an intense surge of determination. She resolved that nothing would prevent her from achieving her dreams, come what may. It was around this time that she heard of the Pasadena Playhouse, a renowned acting school famous for shaping the careers of aspiring actors. Joining this school became her new focus, the beacon guiding her toward the future she longed for. Enrolling there represented more than just formal training. It was her first real chance to develop her craft, to embrace the performing arts in a way she had only dreamed of before. Carolyn's heart raced with excitement as she convinced her grandparents to support her ambition by allowing her to join the school. For her, securing this opportunity was the beginning of a lifelong dream. With unshakable enthusiasm and a newfound sense of purpose, she entered the Pasadena Playhouse, ready to embrace her destiny. She immersed herself fully in her studies, learning the intricacies of the craft and eagerly performing on stage. But just as she was starting to find her footing, life surprised her once again, leading her into an unexpected romance with a man no one in her life seemed to approve of. A love against all odds. A forbidden romance blossomed during Carolyn's early days in acting school, a love story that seemed destined to challenge every expectation. In the late 1940s, Carolyn was single-mindedly focused on her studies at the Pasadena Playhouse, committed to her goal of becoming an actress. She was determined not to let anyone or anything derail her ambitions. At least, that was her plan, until she crossed paths with Don Donaldson, a man whose presence would change everything. Carolyn was just 19 years old when she met the 27-year-old Donaldson in 1949, and sparks flew instantly. Carolyn was known for her fierce tenacity, a quality that drove her to pursue what she wanted regardless of others' opinions. And when she fell for Don, she embraced this love with the same intensity, even though few people in her life approved of the relationship. To Carolyn, the connection she felt with Don was undeniable, and she wasn't going to let anyone stand in the way. Their romance developed quickly, and soon it was clear that their affection for each other was genuine and deep. Despite the judgment of those around them who balked at their age difference, Carolyn and Don were resolute. Carolyn's youth, she was still technically a teenager, was often cited by those who doubted the relationship's viability. However, this didn't dissuade the couple from taking their love seriously. They were certain enough in their feelings for each other to take a significant step forward, marrying just a year after they met. Yet, as deeply as she cared for Don, Carolyn's marriage didn't turn out to be the happily ever after she had envisioned. The pressures and realities of their young marriage soon took their toll, and within a year, the relationship began to unravel. Carolyn, facing her first major romantic heartbreak, realized she had to make a choice. She decided to channel her focus entirely on her career, putting aside anything that might sidetrack her dreams of acting. This resolution marked a turning point for Carolyn. She would no longer allow herself to be swayed by relationships or distractions that didn't support her pursuit of the spotlight. The sacrifices for stardom. Carolyn Jones had made up her mind. There would be no room for distractions. Her focus on becoming a star was unwavering, and she was willing to make any sacrifice necessary to reach her goals, even if it meant undergoing drastic measures. By the 1950s, Carolyn's hunger for Hollywood fame had reached new heights. She was determined to do whatever it took to finally break through into the limelight. But she was unprepared for just how costly that journey would be, both financially and personally. After graduating from acting school, Carolyn came face to face with a crushing realization. While she had worked tirelessly to develop her craft, talent alone would not be her golden ticket to fame. Hollywood, it turned out, demanded more than skill or dedication from its actresses, especially those aiming for the top. Carolyn quickly understood that if she wanted to stand out in such a competitive industry, she would need to conform to its stringent beauty standards, no matter the cost. Carolyn's deep passion for acting had driven her from a young age, and her time at the Pasadena Playhouse only fueled her commitment. She found joy and purpose in the creative energy of her performances, impressing both instructors and classmates. Her efforts didn't go unrecognized. She was awarded several honors for her exceptional talent and dedication. However, when she finally took her first steps into the professional acting world, it became evident that her skill set alone would not be enough to secure her place in the industry. At that time, Hollywood placed a significant emphasis on beauty and physical allure. Actresses who didn't embody the idealized look of the Hollywood it girl were often overlooked, regardless of their talents. Though Carolyn was undoubtedly beautiful, she felt that her appearance did not align with the prevailing industry standard. Observing the careers of other women who had conformed to Hollywood's expectations, she realized she would need to make substantial changes if she wanted to elevate her career. This understanding led her down a path of transformation, culminating in her decision to undergo cosmetic surgery, a choice that came with significant financial and physical burdens. Determined to fit the mold, Carolyn underwent painful and costly surgery, pinning her hopes on the idea that a new look could open doors that had previously been closed. With dreams of a brighter future and a prosperous career, she went under the knife, enduring a physically and emotionally taxing process to emerge with a transformed appearance. The procedure altered her features considerably, giving her a pointed nose that aligned with the industry's standards of beauty, as well as a renewed sense of self-assurance that she hoped would translate into career opportunities. But her makeover didn't stop at her facial features. Carolyn took further steps to fully reinvent herself. She bleached her hair blonde, adopting a look that was deemed more marketable at the time, and she worked diligently on her posture to present herself as a refined, sophisticated actress. On top of that, she dedicated hours to minimizing her Texas accent, an aspect she felt could hinder her from being cast in diverse roles. Every adjustment she made was a calculated step toward shaping herself into the image of the quintessential Hollywood actress. As fate would have it, her efforts caught the attention of a talent scout who noticed her during a theater performance not long after her transformation. In that moment, she fit perfectly into Hollywood's image of an ideal actress, exuding both poise and the polished beauty that the industry revered. Her combination of looks and talent did not go unnoticed, and shortly after this encounter, she was invited to a screen test. Her performance left a strong impression, and she quickly secured her first contract with Paramount Studios. This physical transformation had achieved precisely what she had hoped for. Doors began to open, and she found herself cast in prominent roles that showcased both her beauty and her acting prowess. The drastic lengths Carolyn went to in pursuit of her dream reveal the high stakes and intense pressures she faced. It's striking to consider the sacrifices she was willing to make to build a successful career, from enduring physical pain to reshaping her identity, all in the hope of fulfilling her desire to shine in Hollywood. Rising and falling in Hollywood. Unfortunately, Carolyn's new look wasn't enough to sustain her career for long. After achieving a brief glimpse of the fame she had worked so hard for, Hollywood's interest in her began to wane, leaving her grappling with an unexpected career setback and a sudden financial strain. Following the success of her film debut in The Turning Point in 1952, Carolyn was elated. She finally felt the rush of recognition and success that she had dreamed of, believing that this role marked the beginning of her rise to stardom. But fate had other plans, as her career soon took an unanticipated downward turn, leaving her aspirations dangling. The praise she received for her performance in The Turning Point was gratifying, but the momentum didn't last. Soon the accolades faded, and Carolyn found herself facing the stark reality that her breakthrough role hadn't led to the opportunities she'd hoped for. Paramount Studios, where she was under contract, offered her only 2 minor roles after her debut. These limited roles proved insufficient to keep her career afloat, and her hopes of building a strong Hollywood presence began to dwindle. If she had secured another major role after The Turning Point, it might have solidified her career trajectory and kept her in the public eye. Instead, the lack of substantial roles felt like a series of tiny disappointments that deflated her burgeoning career. As if things couldn't get worse, Carolyn received no significant offers until her contract with Paramount expired, leaving her stranded in an industry that seemed to have lost interest in her. She had genuinely believed that Paramount would be her pathway to success, but when her contract ended, Carolyn found herself disillusioned and uncertain about her future. Broke, forgotten, and feeling utterly alone, Carolyn was left wondering what to do next. Her earnings from her previous films had not accumulated as much as she had anticipated, and her financial situation had taken a dire turn. All her attempts to revive her career went unanswered, forcing her to seek help from her family to stay afloat. Things became so dire that she reached out to her sister, asking her to move in so they could share living expenses, hoping to ease her financial burden. Her situation seemed bleak. Carolyn, once full of determination and optimism, now found herself confronting an industry that had all but turned its back on her. She tried repeatedly to revive her big-screen career, but was met with silence and closed doors. The pain of rejection was overwhelming. She had poured so much into her craft, only to face repeated setbacks. Finally, realizing that her big-screen dreams were slipping further out of reach, Carolyn decided to redirect her efforts toward television. Fortunately, Carolyn began landing television roles, and though these weren't as glamorous as the film roles she'd once envisioned, they provided her with some much-needed stability. Gradually, her finances improved, and she found herself on steadier ground. Things seemed to be looking up once again, and as if life were granting her a reward for her resilience, she met a man who would bring new light and joy into her life, a new love and a glimmer of hope. It seemed that Carolyn's future was brightening at last, and soon her heart was filled with hope and excitement. In an unexpected twist, she found herself captivated by a man named Aaron Spelling, a young producer who, like her, was determined to make a name for himself in the industry. Their meeting seemed almost fated, and Carolyn was quickly swept up in the thrill of romance, feeling as though she had found a soulmate in Aaron. Aaron's ambition and charm only strengthened Carolyn's resolve to be with him, and her love for him grew deeply. Carolyn, always a woman of bold actions, knew that she wanted to be with Aaron for life. In an era when it was unconventional for a woman to take charge in matters of the heart, she boldly decided to propose to him. At the time, she had returned to her roots in theater, finding solace in live performance and using the opportunity to refine her dramatic skills. She loved the raw energy of the stage and the chance to connect directly with her audience, and in a beautiful turn of events, it was this theater work that had introduced her to Aaron. The chemistry between them was undeniable, and they quickly bonded over their mutual dreams of success and the struggles that came with life in the industry. As their relationship blossomed, Carolyn became more certain that Aaron was the person she wanted to build a future with. She couldn't imagine her life without him, and with each passing day, her love for him deepened. It was a rare joy for her, and the world seemed to be smiling on her once again. As if in alignment with her newfound happiness, Carolyn received an exciting opportunity that rekindled her professional life. She was cast in House of Wax, one of the pioneering 3D films of the era. This was a tremendous achievement, as 3D technology was still a novelty, and the film's unique visual appeal made it a sought-after project. Being part of such a groundbreaking production revitalized her reputation and brought her back into the spotlight, once again making her one of the industry's most talked-about actresses. With her career finally gaining momentum and her heart full of love, Carolyn felt as if her dreams were aligning perfectly. Her professional resurgence seemed unstoppable, and her bond with Aaron filled her with a sense of stability she hadn't known before. Emboldened by her success and deeply in love, Carolyn gathered the courage to approach Aaron with a proposal, eager to solidify their love with the commitment of marriage. She imagined a life of shared dreams and lasting happiness. However, life took an unexpected turn, and Carolyn's dreams were dealt a heartbreaking blow. Despite the deep connection they shared, Aaron confessed his uncertainties about marriage, revealing that he wasn't ready to settle down due to his own insecurities about his financial and professional stability. Carolyn's heart broke as she realized that the future she had envisioned was not within reach. Not yet, anyway. The weight of his words left her feeling as though her carefully built dreams were unraveling, as she grappled with the painful truth that her love, while real, might not be enough to overcome the obstacles they faced. Taking a bold step in love. With determination etched on her face and driven by an unyielding spirit, Carolyn decided to take matters of the heart into her own hands. Unafraid to defy social norms, she resolved to step boldly into the unknown and propose to Aaron herself, casting aside conventions in a daring act of love that left many stunned. As she approached him, time seemed to pause, the weight of the moment almost tangible as the world held its breath. Aaron, initially taken aback by Carolyn's boldness, was moved by the depth of her love and the strength of her commitment. He couldn't resist her courage and sincerity, and with admiration in his eyes, he accepted her proposal, igniting a love story that seemed destined for the ages. In that moment, Carolyn felt her heart soar. She was experiencing both the fulfillment of her career dreams and the beginning of a lifelong romance. But, as if fate had other plans, her joy would soon be tested by yet another painful twist. Missed opportunities and health setbacks. Just as she was beginning to feel truly unstoppable, Carolyn found herself faced with one of the biggest opportunities of her life, and an equally heartbreaking setback. One day, she received a call from a casting executive at Columbia Pictures, informing her that she had been chosen to audition for the role of Laureen, also known as Alma, in the upcoming film From Here to Eternity. When Carolyn heard the news, her heart nearly skipped a beat. This role felt like an answer to her prayers, the career-making part she had been waiting for all along. Although Carolyn had already portrayed some memorable characters, there was no denying that this role had the potential to propel her to new heights. The casting director assured her that, provided she passed the screen test, the role would be hers without question. Brimming with excitement, Carolyn threw herself into preparations, determined to deliver a performance that would leave a lasting impression. Every hour of preparation was filled with hope and focus. She visualized herself in the role, imagining the character's depth and nuances, immersing herself so thoroughly that the part began to feel like it was already hers. As she rehearsed, Carolyn dreamed of the doors this role could open, the projects it could lead to, and the recognition it could bring her. This wasn't just another audition, it felt like a defining moment. For days, she meticulously rehearsed, wanting to ensure she would shine during the screen test. Yet, just as she was ready to show the world what she could do, disaster struck. On the night before her big audition, Carolyn's persistent health issues flared up once again. Pneumonia, an illness she had battled before, came back with a vengeance, leaving her bedridden and in severe pain. She was rushed to the hospital as her condition worsened, her dreams slipping away with each labored breath. Lying in her hospital bed, Carolyn felt a mixture of pain, regret, and helplessness as she realized she wouldn't be able to attend the screen test that could have changed her life, the chance she had worked so hard for. The role that might have been her ticket to the top was slipping away. As the hours passed in her hospital room, she couldn't help but wonder what might have been. The idea of missing out on such a pivotal role was a weight she struggled to carry. Her future had seemed so close, only to be torn from her grasp at the last possible moment. There was nothing she could do. She was simply too ill to make it. Her heart sank as she learned that the role would go to another actress, and as fate would have it, the film went on to become a massive success. Watching from the sidelines as the opportunity of a lifetime passed her by, Carolyn was overwhelmed by a sense of betrayal from the very destiny she had fought so hard to control. Yet, she resolved not to let this setback define her. Determined to overcome these obstacles, she committed to finding a way to make her mark and prove her resilience in the industry. Her resolve was her guiding light in those difficult days, a reminder that despite her losses, she still had the power to shape her future. Carolyn vowed to return stronger, channeling her disappointment into renewed determination. Challenges on the set of King Creole. Carolyn's relentless efforts eventually paid off, bringing her back to the career she loved, but the victory was short-lived. Just as she began to regain her footing, illness struck her once more. Then, on top of it all, she found herself in a surprising situation on set, refusing to kiss Elvis Presley. In the 1950s, Elvis Presley was the epitome of charm, capturing hearts everywhere, and his co-stars often found themselves captivated. So when word spread that Carolyn Jones refused to kiss Elvis on the set of King Creole, people were stunned. During this time, Elvis was preparing to join the army and had taken on one last role before his departure, starring as Carolyn's love interest in the film. As production on King Creole progressed, everything seemed to be on track until Carolyn's health took another turn. She came down with a high fever while filming, yet she pushed through, refusing to let her illness keep her from giving her all to the role. It was only when a scene called for her to kiss Elvis that she hesitated. Unlike most women who might have eagerly embraced the moment, Carolyn held back, not due to any lack of attraction to him, but out of concern for his health. She feared that her illness could be passed on through the kiss, and pleaded with the director to omit it from the scene. It was a difficult decision, one that left her feeling conflicted. She knew the scene was essential, but her concern for Elvis's well-being overshadowed her desire to complete it. The pressure to perform was intense, but Carolyn's integrity and compassion ultimately guided her actions. Behind the scenes, the crew watched her unwavering commitment to her role despite her illness and admired her for it. Elvis, ever the charmer, lightened the tense moment with humor, quipping that he hoped the kiss might be his ticket out of the army. In the end, with the support of her co-stars and crew, Carolyn managed to complete her scene successfully, and King Creole became a tremendous hit, marking another triumph in her career. This achievement, despite the challenges she faced, solidified her place in Hollywood and reminded her that her perseverance and dedication had the power to overcome even the harshest obstacles. With each success, Carolyn's resilience shone through, adding to the legacy she was building in Hollywood. Finding fame and facing controversy in the Addams family. Riding on this success, Carolyn continued to push forward with even more determination. Her hard work soon led her to the role that would forever cement her place in Hollywood history, Morticia Addams in the Addams Family. However, few know the controversy that followed, as the character wasn't warmly embraced by all. The role of Morticia was not only iconic, but also provocative for its time, leading to unexpected backlash that took Carolyn by surprise. In the 1960s, many aspects of television that are now commonplace were still pushing boundaries, and the display of affection between Morticia and her on-screen husband Gomez stirred up quite the reaction. Romantic intimacy on screen was still met with resistance, and Carolyn faced criticism simply for playing her part. The strength of Morticia and Gomez's romance, conveyed through gestures and subtle chemistry, was groundbreaking. It challenged viewers' perceptions of marital affection, and even more so because Morticia was portrayed as confident and unapologetically herself, qualities rarely seen in female characters at the time. This portrayal captivated some viewers while shocking others. After dedicating years to her craft, Carolyn finally secured this transformative role as Morticia, the beloved wife of Gomez Addams. Audiences were mesmerized, both shocked and entranced by the chemistry between the two characters. Some viewers were taken aback by the palpable affection between Morticia and Gomez, claiming their on-screen romance was excessively intense. A reaction almost unimaginable by today's standards, where romantic chemistry is celebrated. The role did not just challenge viewers' perceptions, it sparked heated debates, with critics condemning Carolyn's portrayal of Morticia as too bold for the times. However, undeterred by the criticisms, Carolyn held her head high, understanding that, as an actress, her job would often mean taking on roles that defied conventional norms. The show's success proved her resilience, with the Addams family gaining a massive fan base eager for each new episode. Her portrayal of Morticia became a cultural landmark, and Carolyn found herself reaching a new level of fame. Ironically, what some saw as controversial only added to Morticia's and Carolyn's legend. As viewers tuned in each week, they were witnessing history in the making, a performance that would influence the portrayal of strong, unconventional women in television for generations. This role, criticized by some, ultimately became her defining one, earning her the title of Hollywood's macabre icon. Following the Addams family, Carolyn continued to pursue her passion for acting across the following decades. Though she faced numerous challenges, from heartbreak and broken marriages to recurring health issues, she never abandoned the career she cherished. By the 1980s, however, her health began to deteriorate significantly, and Carolyn realized that her time was drawing near. Fulfilling a long-held wish, she married her longtime partner in 1982, hoping to spend her remaining days with the one she loved. Tragically, Carolyn passed away the following year after a prolonged battle with colon cancer. Her death left an undeniable void in the entertainment industry. Though many years have passed, Carolyn Jones is still remembered as an extraordinary actress, a resilient spirit who remained committed to her art despite the obstacles life threw her way. Much like Carolyn, Tina Turner also became renowned for her passion and her enduring fight for her place in the spotlight, no matter the challenges. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.